Dr. Gibbs-Williams sheds some light on the possible origin and meaning of synchronicities.
The implications of these things, they often feel as if they're messages that come from above, or a realm of spirituality, or transcended to the self. They certainly don't seem to originate in oneself. And that, if you take that seriously, that starts you out on a kind of philosophical quest for answering questions like, well, let's say they are messages from some transcendent realm of experience. What are you talking about? What realm is that? And if there's a message, then there's an implied messenger. Well, who or what is sending you messages? And why you? Why are you so special that you're getting special messages from who? Now, my experience in philosophy indicated that if you don't go the route of they're external, then there's only one other place to look at, and that is you're sending yourself messages. If you look at the context out of which any synchronicity comes, my experience is that it's always triggered by an initial problem which seems to be unable to be resolved. And if you have an attitude that you're going to try to resolve it no matter what, then you start what I think is a psychological scavenger hunt in which you're looking for clues to give you the answer to the problem, and it's often unconscious. Bottom line, I think it stimulates a person's idiosyncratic creative process, and clues are amassed, and they're sort of like pieces of a complicated jigsaw puzzle. And when you make the boundary and you fit the pieces in, and when there are enough pieces, it'll show up as a pattern, and once that pattern will take the form of a coincidence and still has to be interpreted, and you interpret it like a waking dream. And when you do, there is always an intimate connection between the pattern, the synchronicity, and the problem that can be identified in the person's life. I think what we're really talking about is the underrated and maligned personal unconscious. And then when synchronicities occur, the personal unconscious is becoming conscious, and by unconscious I mean not verbalized, so that in dream images or language, when you can describe whatever your experience is in words, you're making the unconscious conscious, and synchronicities occur at a time where an individual is being able to verbalize what's previously in the unconscious. My experience personally and professionally is that these are really extraordinarily important events that happen. I think they happen to practically everybody. I do think there are personalities that are more prone to synchronicities, and what I find is that these people tend to have divided selves, and they're very much aware of it, and they often suffer from information overload, and they suffer from an inability to get unstuck. They get sort of paralyzed with doubts, and they get screwed up with mixed feelings. And that these things, I think, are an attempt to guide people into going into inner space and really trying to get themselves together. Keeping a journal is extraordinarily important in objectifying the subjective, because when you do that, if you appreciate, as I think I do, that these things, while they appear to be coincidences, they're not really if you see that they are embedded in context. So if you have an ongoing flow of experience, when synchronicities occur, you can trace back and see that they, I believe, really start with a seemingly unresolvable problem. If you can pin down what that problem is, and that's not difficult to do, you can see that the particular synchronicity and the meaning that people give to them is a resolution of a problem.
Are we to believe that before the author was born, he somehow created the synchronistic connection between the J. Bond stone and the caves, that revealed Dashwood's role as an intelligence operative? Are we to believe that before the author was born, he somehow generated the Mausoleum line's 116-degree geographic bearing, and the 116-911 master code numbers that appear along its path? The author does not wholly agree with Dr. Williams' analysis. More worryingly, in his full interview, Dr. Williams does not outline the mechanism and process by which the person's unconscious thoughts manifest into the physical world. The author will cite the talking tombstones of creative memorials as prima facie evidence of an external intelligence's influence on the physical world that has been put on public display with intent and purpose. However, the author does acknowledge that the 116-911 master code numbers appearing privately on his PC boot screen and media player are probably generated by him unconsciously, and reveal something about his inner world. The author has noticed that key points on the Mausoleum line reflect the concept of physical and non-physical transportation. Physical examples include the railway station, the Brunel shed, which was a former car tire retailer, the Automedics vehicle repair shop, 161 West Wickham Road, which is sandwiched between a BP petrol station and a second-hand car retailer, and 109 West Wickham Road, which has a carriage wheel placed directly above its front door. The railway station infers transportation by train. The garages and Brunel shed refer to transportation by motor vehicle, and the carriage wheel hints at transportation by a horse-drawn carriage. All three examples refer to a journey using physical means. The processes of death could be viewed as a non-physical journey, in that the soul of the deceased journeys without physical means. Mausoleum line locations that refer to non-physical transportation include Creative Memorials, and the former Sainsbury's suicide hotspot. Both sites could be associated with the traditional view of the soul's journey from the physical world to the non-physical world. Do the symbols of physical transportation come from the same source as the symbols of non-physical transportation? If so, what could this tell us about the hidden properties of the Mausoleum line?